How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. While the Lakers have made multiple additions to their team early on in free agency by adding players like Trevor Ariza, Dwight Howard, Wayne Ellington, Carmelo Anthony, and more, they still have a couple holes to fill on their team, and while they are no longer big holes anymore, they still could use a little more depth in a few areas. If you take a look at their roster, they could probably use another wing defender, one more point guard, and maybe even a little more three-point shooting. You really can never have too much three-point shooting when you have LeBron and Westbrook on your team. However, the only spending power they have left to make moves is with veteran minimum contracts and by bringing back their own free agents. But with Alex Caruso, Ben McLemore, and Markieff Morris already gone, they may have to fill out their team with more veteran minimum contracts than previously thought. Although, there are still a lot of quality free agents available, and they will have no difficulty finding players who would be willing to take a discount to join their team. But at the same time, they need to consider how that player might fit around their current team before adding them. And to address that, in this video, we will be looking at who I believe to be the best free agents currently remaining for the Lakers in terms of fit and while actually being affordable. I am not ranking these players in any particular order, but I do believe they should all be on the Lakers' radar and would each help fill a need that they currently have. And keep in mind that a few of these free agents might be gone by the time I put out this video, as free agents are rapidly being picked up by other teams. But with all that being said, the first player that we will review that I believe the Lakers need to take a look at is with Avery Bradley, another former Laker, and with it feeling like the Lakers are bringing back every former Laker available, Avery Bradley should not be forgotten about. He was a great fit with their team during his time with them. And with them still needing a little more depth at point guard, as there has not been any word on what will happen with Dennis Schroeder yet, Bradley would be a very good player for them to target. He is a true 3-and-D player who can also handle ball handling duties here and there, and at the very least, can bring the ball up the court. And with him already being a proven fit with LeBron and Anthony Davis, he would be a no-brainer to target if they are unable to bring back Dennis Schroeder or include him in a sign and trade. He is a great off-ball combo guard and would really help to make them a defensive juggernaut again. He is a great perimeter defender and really seemed to be a perfect fit under Frank Vogel. Definitely a player who should be on their radar. Now moving on to player number 2 though, where we have Lou Williams. Another former Laker, Lou Williams would be a sneaky veteran addition to their team. He is another combo guard who is capable of playing both on and off the ball, which would make him a great addition to their lineup. He can create plays for both himself and for others, and would be more than capable of filling out their depth at point guard. He proved that he is far from being washed up during the playoffs with Atlanta, and I believe that he would be interested in competing for a championship with the Lakers. He will provide them with another playmaker off the bench, and with a player who has spent a lot of time coming off the bench for winning teams. Offensively, he is definitely one of the better guards who is still available. And while he does lack on the defensive end of the court for a veteran minimum contract, I don't think they would complain that much about it. They might want to get a bit younger here than Lou Williams, but he is nonetheless a very good option, and one that I would not be all that surprised if he would end up on their team. But now moving on to player number 3, where we have James Ennis III. One of my personal favorite 3-and-D free agent targets for cheap. He would be a great player to help finalize their depth at shooting guard and small forward. He can defend both smaller and bigger players on the perimeter and would fit really well into their defensive mentality as a team. With that, he is a good 3-point shooter as well. While he is not an extremely high volume 3-point shooter, he did shoot over 43% from the 3-point line last year with Orlando while attempting 2.5 per game. He can create his own shot here and there and is not fully reliant on other players to create offense for him. He is a well-rounded player and one that I believe would fit very well on their team. And with the free agent market drying up, it is probably becoming more and more likely for him to accept a veteran minimum contract, and he would be an absolute bargain for that amount. He is only 31 years old and arguably is coming off the best year of his entire career and without a doubt the most efficient one. If he can continue to shoot anywhere near the 43% that he shot from the 3-point line this year, he would be a great addition to any contending team. He would provide the Lakers with a lot of versatility on defense and is another player who can get out and run in transition. One of my favorite value free agents currently available, and definitely a player that I hope they have an eye on. But now moving on to player number 4, where we have Mike Scott. With Markieff Morris now having signed with the Miami Heat, they will have a need to fill out power forward, because while all of LeBron, Trevor Ariza, and Carmelo Anthony all play at power forward at times, they all do spend time at small forward too. they will have around 5 to 10 minutes per game available at power forward, and Mike Scott could fill that role. He is a fairly similar player to Markieff, with them both being tough players at power forward and both being pretty good three-point shooters. And while Mike Scott had a bit of a down year shooting from the three-point line this year, he is a career 36.2% shooter from beyond the three-point line. He is far from the perfect player, but for a third-string power forward, he would be a good addition to provide depth to their lineup. He is more than capable of giving a solid 10 to 15 minutes per game, and even more if they are dealing with an injury. And overall, if they are looking to replace Markieff Morris with a similar player, Mike Scott would be a very good player to target. But now moving on to player number 5, where we have Jeff Teague. While Teague is no longer the all-star caliber player that he once was, he can still be a productive player off the bench for a contending team, and it is never a bad thing to have too much depth at power forward. We had to watch the Lakers struggle when they were without both LeBron and Dennis Schroeder for a while last year, and if there's anything you do not want to be without, it is a point guard. And Teague would be more than capable of providing 10 minutes per game off the bench behind Kendrick Nunn, or to be a change-of-pace player in their lineup, and if any injuries ever occur to any of LeBron, Westbrook, or Kendrick Nunn, Teague would be there to fill in for them and handle more point guard duties whenever needed. And when he is on the court, he still does provide good production on offense too. He is both a good playmaker and a good three-point shooter. He shot a very impressive 43.9% from the three-point line this year between playing for both Milwaukee and Boston. And while he is no longer the crafty and quick defender that he once was, at the very least, he is not a liability on defense. He can hold his own out on the perimeter, especially if he had Anthony Davis or Dwight Howard protecting the rim behind him. And overall, if they are looking for depth at point guard with a player who will likely not complain about minutes, but at the same time can still be a productive player when called upon, Jeff Teague would be a good player to add. He is pretty much only trying to win championships at this point in his career and will be more than willing to take a veteran minimum contract with them. But now moving on to the final player that we will review, with that being Paul Millsap, another veteran player who may be willing to take a discount in order to compete for a championship. He would be a great addition to their team. He would be a good replacement for Markieff Morris and could perfectly fill the role of a three-point shooting power forward. And while he is a bit older now, he can still put up some very good numbers. He is more than capable of providing around 10 points per game yet, while grabbing around 5 rebounds per game and still playing above average defense. Millsap has always had quick hands and has always been an underrated defender in my opinion. And while he is not as quick as he once was, he is still a good team defender. And overall, even at his age, he would probably be an upgrade over Markieff Morris on both ends of the floor. He is nearly as good of a three-point shooter as Markieff, if not even a little bit better at times. He is a better rebounder, a better defender, and more well-rounded player overall. The only problem is, he may not be willing to take on a limited role quite yet. Because, like I mentioned before, he is still a very productive player and has a lot to offer any contending team yet. I'm actually a bit surprised that a contender has not picked him up already. He fits the modern NBA at power forward and will be a luxury to have for a veteran minimum contract. He is definitely a player that I could see joining their team in hopes of finally winning an NBA championship. But with that will do it for the remaining free agents that I believe the Lakers need to target. And what do you guys think? Who would you like to see the Lakers pick up to help fill out their team? In what position do you think they need to prioritize yet? Let me know your thoughts by commenting down below and we can talk about it there. That will do it for this video though. Thank you to everyone who took the time to watch until the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please remember to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. And if you want to stay up to date on all my immediate thoughts moves on the NBA, be sure to follow me on Twitter too. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.